And here we are live, and I'm just going to right, bingo, right. I'll just get us the show on the road. Hello to everybody. I'm always super excited to host my next guest on the show, always. He's a Taoist Master and has helped literally millions of people around the globe to live happier and fuller lives, assisting them to overcome health issues and a myriad of other challenges. It all began from the tender age of 6 years old. I love to tell this part, when he was given a visitation from the universe. It was in the form of a bellowing om sound. This was to be the catalyst of years of searching, learning, and perfecting his craft as a healer and spiritual teacher, renowned as he is. And he's a former favourite on TV with his own show, and also a healer to the stars, a multiple best-selling author with a staggering 23 books and counting published. Now with his own publishing company, Wayward Publications Ltd, he helps those who think outside of the box to get their message to the masses. He's also a musician, a DJ, producer. He has his own recording company, for God's sake. He's the creator of the world-class AMP series, Microdoses, programs which will help you to fulfill your mission in this lifetime. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honour, my privilege to bring you the amazing Barefoot Doctor. Hiya, Stephen Russell.
They get better every time. I don't know how you do it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I'm humbled.
Right. Just to give everyone the SB, you can't actually see me, which isn't ideal, but being the pro you are, you've elected to go live. But everyone can see you, thankfully. It's also hotter than the cobs of hell where you are at the moment.
It's boiling. I'm just sweating. Woof. It's so humid and hot here. It's ridiculous, but I'm not complaining. I'm just sweating. I'll explain to everybody. The reason I'm sweating is not because I'm nervous to talk to you. It's because I'm boiling hot. That's all.
Yeah, you've talked around the world to huge audiences, done TED talks and goodness knows what. So I'm sure nerves isn't an issue. Right.
It can be. It can get you sometimes. You never know when it's going to happen, do you?
Yeah, I must admit I did one last week, the other week with somebody. And I was nervous doing the introduction. I was stumbling over my words, and I thought, really? I've done hundreds of these, and now I'm nervous. So, yeah, I know what I mean. Before we get going, Doc, I want to ask you about, you've got a fantastic opportunity at the end of this month doing super healing near Manchester, in Ramsbottom. I just love you to share something about that and share this rare opportunity with others, please.
Okay. Well, the super healing, the super really was a bit of a play, a bit of irony in the way that we talk and stuff hyperbole about everything these days. Everything's super mega, whatever. But the healing is a very discreet, personal, quiet affair. It's not a noisy thing. But it is the meaning of the word super means above, meta. That which sits above on a higher level than, if you like. So the reason that I called it that actually was because it is the meta healing. It's the template, the Taoist healing template for the soul. And they really were very, 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 very incredibly clever people who managed to create or received this incredible system whereby you can quite methodically, almost mechanically, adjust the various aspects of your soul. And that, in turn, will affect your physical body via the energy meridians and the organs and so on. And, as I'm a doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine originally, and that's the most amazing art. I've helped a lot of people with that. But that is completely based on this system. And it's a bit mystical because with the acupuncture, even, I know there's a lot of people who just practice as technicians, but the true artist is actually channeling guides. I mean, there's another way of putting it. There's this old doctor that stands behind me to the right, some old Chinese guy, tells me what to do, and I check that against my checklist, my protocol, and the ones that the healing sessions that I do, that I'm following that guidance, they are the ones where the miracles happen. The other ones, they work, but they're not like miracles. It's just, the person gets a bit better than like you'd expect them to, and then you do another one and so on. But to really make miracles happen, it has to be somehow being channeled through and there has to be some kind of relationship with the big self of the other as well. You're not just dealing with the surface of them, you're dealing with the big presence informing them, if you want to call it. In our Western terminology, we call that the higher self. I don't like calling it the higher self because that just implies it's above, but it's not. It's bigger. It's just bigger self, you know. And the super healing came through, as everything, any good that I do, I think, came through like that. It was sort of channeled through. It was guided through. You've got to do this now, and it won't let me be until I've done it, whether it's music or that, whatever. That super healing was a very powerful event for me. In that I was in Pembrokeshire in a barn in the middle of absolutely nowhere, where it just came through, and the music that went with it was very, very special. And I was watching myself delivering it. You know, it was like I was one of the audience, and it had a very big effect on me. I'm on about all that. It's about drawing the light of from a different star down to you and into you. It's an old Taoist practice, and what I do in the live rendition of it is I channel it, and I just get everyone sitting in a circle, and I just start channeling it through, and it works. The light comes in for everybody, and remarkable healing things occur. There was I don't make too much of a thing of this, but one of the ones I did, there was a woman who'd been wheelchair bound for years. At the end of it, I could actually cry. She stood up and walked to me.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want anyone to see in case she fell over, right? Which she didn't, thank goodness. So I didn't make a thing of it, and I just actually ushered her back into the wheelchair because, you know, I didn't want to make like a big spectacle at her expense, if you like. But it was that sort of level. And the one I'm doing in Manchester, well, I can't tell what it would be like till it happens, but I imagine it will be jolly good. And then I'm doing another in the Isle of Wight a week later. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to these. I haven't done one anything like this for quite a while.
So we're looking at the 28th of September, I do believe, in Ramsbottom.
No, 28th. The 28th.
Yeah, in conjunction with Sam Whitaker. Is there any tickets left, Doc?
I really don't know, but the best way is, I mean, if you got the link there, Sam, know.
Yeah, Sam, if you're on the stream, if you can pop the link in. If not, I'll do it at the end of the stream. And then obviously the Isle of Wight, early October as well. These are worth flying in for. These are worth travelling into, booking overnight accommodation, rare opportunities to be taught by a Barefoot Doctor. You know, it doesn't get any better than this. So. And the tickets are, I should have done more homework. I think there's something ridiculously great value of like £125, £135 or something like that.
I think it's even less. I think it's actually even less. I like to make everything as affordable as can be.
We do, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if I could make it free, everything free, I'd make it all free, but you can't exist that way.
No, of course you can't. Of course you can't. Right. So. And you've also got a retreat, is that right?
I just had one. I just did one, amazing one actually, in the mountains north of Granada. 20 people, half of them were men, half of them were women, and a really great crew, a lovely bunch of people, and it was brilliant. Yeah, I have to say, even if it's me saying it, wow, that was something else. It really was. It was so. You see, I don't do that for work. I do. That's fun for me. That's my time off. You know, when I'm just focusing on other people. There's such a joy because I'm not sitting in front of the screen. I mean, I love making music. I do it all day and all night, but it's really good to get a break from it. It's really good to get a break from the projects, if you like, and just be focusing on others. Such a privilege and a pleasure. And I'm pretty good at it because I've been doing it a few decades now. And that's lovely too, when you know that you can do it and it's not, you know what you're doing to some extent anyway. And the beauty is watching everyone transform, flourish before your very eyes. It's the most amazing thing. They come in one state and leave looking totally different. It's brilliant. Yeah, that was really fun. I'm doing another one on May the 12th, 2020, in the same spot.
Yeah, and you can also always get more information on these events on your website, barefootdoctorworld.com. And here's the one I prepared earlier. Let's have a look. Text on screen. And there we go, barefootdoctorworld.com. And it's not just, I want to add as well, Stephen, it's not just seeing people transform in front of your eyes on the day, which of course they do, but it's also the days and weeks and even months beyond that I was blessed to have a session with your good self, which I know you don't tend to do these days. So I was even more valuable. And the things you helped me with, you know, even probably a couple of months down the line now, are really starting to come to the fore. Things
really?
that, yeah. I'll talk to you more about that later. But yes, so it's not just on the day, but it's down the line as well. The ripple effects that come out from that. So thank you for that.
Oh yeah.
Today I want to ask you about kindness or lack thereof in the world, what it means to you, why it's so important at this time, and how it can be sort of benefit the greater, bigger picture. I don't know if you can wrap any words around that, please.
Well, I mean, don't need to point out that we're in a critical phase of our history, humanity here, and in my experience, whenever you're in a situation with a lot of people and it reaches a critical phase, people obviously get really tense and stressed and scared. They don't generally admit that, but then they start acting out a little bit destructively. They become more competitive. They start backbiting and pushing people out of the way and becoming unkind. And that has that tends to speed up the crisis somehow rather than ameliorate things. And what I found is if I've ever been able in a, like, you know, it could be a party situation, a club situation, whatever, when I was working at the Whirly Gig or running gigs in Ibiza or whatever, if I can somehow get everyone being kind to each other, something evolves out of that can save the situation possibly. In other words, we are in a really critical situation right now. And if we can learn to drop the hatred and the fear and the prejudice and the bigotry, just a little bit, enough to allow recognition through that we are kin. That's where the word kind comes from. It means recognizing the other as kin, as family. That will go a long way towards establishing communication routes and protocols through which we might find ourselves actually reversing or at least ameliorating the situation. And it means that I tell you what I find it really interesting. There were times during the last few years when ISIS were being reported as doing these horribly atrocious, disgusting, awful things to people, you know, on video and that. And I'd get I'm sure everyone else does this despairing, angry, mad feeling of like, how can you do that? You know, that. And found myself having to go, look, this guy who did that is my brother. He's my brother. It doesn't mean that I got to condone what he's doing. It doesn't mean I got to support it. It doesn't mean I have to like him for doing it. But he is my brother. And as soon as I could feel that, a compassion arose, which somehow made me realize, look, it could have been me. I could have grown up in wherever it was and had that ideology put in my head. And I could have been the guy acting out. We just don't know, do we? And the compassion that comes with that, whether it's expressed directly to the person or not is irrelevant. I mean, it wasn't. It's just, I think it puts an atmosphere into the air that eases the tension at an unconscious level, a collective unconscious level. And that's what then promotes the healing. I mean, I would say this is totally coincidental and I'm sure not causative, correlatory, if anything. But when I started doing that, started seeing these guys as my brothers, as my family, that was the time when they started getting kind of pushed out the scene, really, and started to become, vanquished. I mean, albeit by Russia having a real good go at them, but nonetheless, that the story seemed to move on once I could love it, if you like. It's like if the Tao, God, the Buddha, wants to display itself as some horrific disguise, the deal is to love the Tao behind that disguise, and then the Tao is recognized. It doesn't have to keep the disguise up anymore. Drops it, goes, thank you very much, hope you like the show, moves on, and something else happens instead. So loving what is happening, however you might not like it, is the key to transforming it. Stop me there. Come and ask me another question.
No, I love that. I remember when it was looking highly likely some time ago, thank God, that we were heading towards World War III, and everything was gearing up towards it quicker by the day. And then it occurred to me to say, right, if I can end the war that's going on inside of me, however it is showing up, then it's going to help the outer reality. And I I did work, similar to what you just outlined, and within a short space of time, the narrative changed, and it just seemed to fall away. This,
Yeah.
the threat of global war. So I love what you said there. And I love how it always starts with us each time, whether it's kindness, self-love, tolerance, and all the rest of it. And I also want to ask you, Doc, how often our own inner dialogue about ourselves can be unkind, and how can we sort of change that? How can we heal that? What tools do you have on your website? What can you sort of tell us about that?
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm smiling because you read my mind. Yeah, I mean, if you the kindness does actually start with the self, and what that means is very simply how you talk to yourself. Because we mimic our parents as children.
Yeah,
If the parents are unkind, and if or there's an unkind moment, or they tell us off in a particular way, or there's a routine of being punished or whatever, we mimic that, internalize it, mimic it, and then we do it to ourselves.
yeah,
And as a result, of which, not just parents, but teachers, siblings, bullies at school, whatever it is. As a result of which, most of us develop a rather unkindly internal dialogue. Say you knock something over on the floor. It's, oh, how can you? Oh no, you've done that again. That thing. Instead of, oh well, you shot something on the floor. You're still a beautiful person. Everybody makes mistakes. It's fine. It's learning to be the kindly inner parent to yourself. In other words, so when if I slip up, which I do, everyone does, or I'm falling behind the schedule and I'm ridiculous schedule, and I'm thinking I really need to do that admin stuff. So got to do the admin, which I do actually. I've been putting it off now for about 2-3 weeks as it goes. You really got to do the admin, really got to do the admin. And instead of going, you are so stupid not doing that admin, it's like, you're so lovely, you are, the way you operate. It's so sweet. You're really kind, and it's great that you're doing it this way because you're getting these amazing tunes coming through. If you'd have spent the time doing admin, these tracks wouldn't be here. That would have been a terrible waste. Well done, you. Well done. In other words, you learn to speak in a kind, positive way to yourself. And it takes training. You have to do it out loud to start with. You really. You have to actually say out loud when you finish doing a load of work, well done. Right? and the immediate reaction is, oh, shut up. Talk to me, well done. And you go, no, listen to me. And I do this to myself out loud. You listen. Well done, you. You've done really well. It was amazing all the work you've done. And before you start rushing into the next bit, just take a moment to think how lovely it is to be you, how lovely it is to be alive, because you're a lovely, lovely man. You really are. You're kind, you're this, you're that. And I'll do that to myself. I don't do it that often now because it's running internally anyway. But when I need to, and when I've needed to, I will make a point of once a day, once a week, whatever, having a really lovely conversation with myself. And I so advise everyone to do that out loud. So you start to hear that voice, that kindly, encouraging voice, because once you hear it out loud, you internalize it like that. And then that becomes the dominant voice in your head rather than the that one, that one, which really does you so much harm. It's so bad for your health and well-being. Whereas the kindly inner voice is really good for you. It gives you energy. It makes you feel loved. And you start relying far less on other people to validate you because you're really validating yourself, which makes it all a lot easier in your dealings with people.
It does. Very well said. Very well said. That's been an ongoing journey for me, changing my own inner dialogue, being kinder to myself, especially when I mess up. And I've also been putting off admin duties as well, so it's quite topical for me as well. It needs to get done this week. I want you to talk about microdoses and AMPT. I really want to keep that in the forefront, and because it's such an amazing world-class body of work which can so transform people's outer realities, their fortunes, the opportunities that can be given. The AMP Volume 3, for example, you call it the miracle. My goodness, miracles can and do appear. So can you tell us where the AMP body of work is and how it's going to link in with your new recording company? Is that something you can share yet, or is that still kind of...
Yeah, you're very kind. You're very kind to talk about it. Thank you. And you must stop me if I go on because I'm really excited about it all.
Please go on.
Well, as you know, that AMP started with 3 volumes. Each of them is 6 hours long,
Yes.
and you would listen to them over a period of 6 weeks, or listen and watch the visuals and that. And in that time, it would reprogram. Well, it reprograms your. Well, it helps you develop new neural pathways
Yes.
through the brain, new positive habits of thought, which in turn change your reality for you. Using the frequency design that I've developed has a very powerful effect on it. It's like going for a gong bath, but I would say more efficient. And it moves the energy around the body in a specific way according to what I'm wanting to do with it, getting you into your back, getting the energy to drop down into the kidneys, getting the heart energy to open, getting the brain energy to flourish, all of that sort of thing. Really enhances it. Plus, you've got these subliminals running underneath the whole time, reinforcing a few basic, very fundamental, important ideas, such as everything works to my advantage no matter what. Everything works to my advantage no matter what. For example, and these will be running along with about 8 others like that under the surface. You don't hear them, but they do. They really do have an effect. So this, all of this was coming off guidance as always. The guidance then was that now you've done the 3, and they work really well. I have to say that, thank goodness, they sold beautifully, and but they're not cheap. I mean, they could be a lot more, of course, but they're $424 each, and which isn't a bad amount to pay for changing your life that profoundly, I think, but that's besides the point. To reflect the amazing amount of work that goes into it is it's unimaginable. The next stage is, and what is really a burning desire for me, is to reach young people. Being as that I am a young person in an older body, I really relate with young. I always have done, and I've got 3 sons of my own, or they got me. And I really relate to how it must be now to be on this planet at this time in history, young, with the whole world ahead of you. Maybe there isn't even going to be a world to have ahead of you, and all of that stuff. It so touches me. I so want to help because I can. And how do you reach people who, well, just anyway, don't have to be young, be anyone who got attention deficit, time deficit, just no interest in spending 6 hours on a thing, and I don't blame them. I understand that. Plus, they couldn't afford it, and all that. How do I do this? How do I do this? And it came to me, microdoses. And by the way, the name of the whole project has been developed into Amped Head now. So it's Amped Head. It took me a while to retrain myself, stop saying Amped, to call it Amped Head, because it's like the person, you're Amped Head, and microdoses are 3-minute or under 2.5 to 3 minute cuts that are specifically created. I've got about 170 of them done now. Out of those, 75 have got vocals on, and out of those, 20 or so are absolute killers. I mean, proper fucking killers, I've got to tell you. Yeah. And they are going to be released as normal singles, probably at the rate of 1 a week, on the Nook track label. Nook stands for Neural Unlock Key, along with productions that I've done with a project called Coyote, with a guy from Groove Armada called Patrick, who's a brilliant percussionist, shaman, getting him to talk on it. Really cool stuff, along with a couple of other people, 3 or 4 other people that I'm producing. We'll also release those off Nook. The main purpose of it is to get Amped Head out there to the people. So they'll get it on Spotify and wherever else, you listen to tracks and everything. But also, I'm in the process of developing an app, an Amped Head app, whereby you'll be able to access all the material. And the way that they work, so the one I just finished now, for example, is that it's about when my goal is to overcome the insane need to be perfect. This is what I do, based on the idea that my mind listens to me, so the way I call it's the way it will be. What I do is I say, and then it goes into this thing, like, I'm perfectly imperfect, exactly as I am. I know I'm not perfect, and I don't give a damn. And it's that kind of affirmation that sticks in the mind. And there's quite a few, it works well. Nice little narrative, all in under 3 minutes. So as opposed to an hour or 6 hours, it's really succinct. And they work. They're brilliant. These, I mean, I have to say, it's me talking. They're absolutely brilliant. The tracks are superb. I love making short tracks. It's a real fun thing to do. I was actually taught it by my youngest son, who is a producer in Miami, because young people don't listen to long tracks. Even 3 minutes is long. So, and I'd never done short tracks like that before, ever in my life. And he taught me how to do it. And once I got the formula, it's like, bang, man, this is such fun because you can create what you do in an hour in 3 minutes if you are clever about it, if you know what you're doing. So that's what I've been doing of, and it's really exciting and insanely time demanding. I mean, you have no idea how much time I've been spending it, but I love it. I'd rather do this than actually anything else, which all my friends will confirm for you. And yeah, we're going to be launching soon, not too long now, and that's the story. I think. So look out for it. Look out for Amped Head. It will start coming through. I reckon, all being well, over the next few weeks, it will start showing its face in the big wide world.
Yeah, we'll have to do a launch party for that, Doc. We'll have to do something special. I'm sure you'll have other things going on with regards to that, but I'd love to do a follow-up session on the release of Amped Head. We've got people in the comments, you know, Sam saying Amped Head microdoses are completely amazing and super powerful. It is so exciting. And
thanks, Austin.
Yeah, people, other comments saying they're delighted to be part of the Amped Head journey, and I'm part of that as well. And I want to ask you about two parts. How important is it, in your view, to have a daily meditation practice? And B, would listening to one of your amped tracks, whether it's a microdose or whether it's a full-hour track, would that qualify as part of a daily meditation routine?
First answer is yes. It's to me, I can't talk for anyone else, but it's vital. If I don't have my daily session, I just don't really fully wake up. I mean, it's all right. You know, if you don't have a shower in the morning, then you go out. It's like you feel all right, but you feel much better if you've had a shower. You feel ready. It's the same. If I don't meditate, I feel okay, I can do it, but I haven't really come to properly until I do. So, I mean, I wouldn't be able to have done this if I had not done my training. I mean, I do training sessions, do Qigong, do martial arts, and I meditate, and I do that every day, and voice work as well. Yeah. So I'm using my voice. So I do that every day, and that keeps me alive, let alone sane. I don't know how anyone lives without doing it. I really feel that a minimum, like the Quakers do, of 2 minutes a day is essential. Yeah. If you maintain sanity, otherwise your mind runs away with itself. There's got to be just a moment in the day where you take back command of the internal processes, and that's what meditation is for. Now, whether an Amped Head track or whatever will do that for you, well, yeah, it will. And that's why I make them is for that reason, knowing that everything I've ever made is for that reason, because I know people don't do the practice. So I do things for them that it will do the practice for them. And that's the beauty of it. But even me, the creator of that, has to say, at some point, you've got to make the meditating process your own and take command of it to really get full command of your life, I feel. And yeah, Amped Head will help that enormously and jolly it along for you and give you some beautiful music to dance to and enjoy. But eventually, you have to claim it for yourself, because when you're dying, you're not going to be able to be listening to anything on your headphones at that point, presumably. And that's when you really need it. You need to have had all that training for that moment, I think, so that at that moment you go, okay, I go and I meet my fate, my unknown fate, like a warrior rather than a wimp, you know.
Yeah. Powerful words there, Doc. Powerful words. I love that. Yeah, because sailing or transitioning into the unknown, even though we've done it many times, if you believe in previous lives, which I certainly do, and but it's still the unknown, because the memories of that can obliterated. Otherwise, it wouldn't be such a game to come into this physical time-space reality and get all the benefits of it, even though it can seem hard at times. I was reading. Just got a few notes down here, things I want to ask you. I was reading one of your newsletters that come the other day, and you're talking about legless Qigong, and it made me giggle, like laugh out loud, literally, because you're saying it's for lazy bastards who don't like to leave the sofa. And I thought, kidding, I just love that. So, what is legless Qigong about? I can't say it. Qigong about.
I really love, because it's so weird. I was going to call it legless Qigongo, but I thought it might offend people who haven't got legs, so I called it leg free Qigongo. But I really wanted to call it legless because it's like drunk. But So thanks, Cecilia. But it's actually leg free qigong.
Oh, I beg your pardon, mate. Okay.
And what a Chigongo comes from Japango, the Japanese restaurant in Boulder, Colorado, that take away sushi. That's so cutesy, all that go-go, you know, the way they play with words in America. I thought I've got to lift that for Qigong, for all my Qigong trainings, and called them Chigongo just because it's funny, and leg free because you're sitting Qigong. I used to teach this guy way back in New Mexico in the late 70s. He'd lost the use of his legs. He was such a great guy, an old guy. He'd lost a son in Vietnam. He'd really, wow, man, he was quite a warrior, this guy,
Yeah.
and he really bore it with dignity, and I loved him. And I taught him sitting Tai Chi. I mean, it was an experiment. It was just we kind of making it up as we went along because I don't. There's no such thing as sitting Tai Chi, really, as far as I know. But we got pretty close with it. But it's to warm up for it. We do these repetitive movements, qigong movements, sitting down, and it was brilliant to see the effect it had on him, and to feel it in myself doing it with him. The strengthening that it gives. You can work the legs a bit with it. You can work the upper body and the middle body, and you really benefit immensely from it by just sitting down where you are. And I've had a few bouts of being hospitalized and being unable to walk myself. I know what it feels like to some extent, and I work with a few people who don't have the use of their legs either at the moment or forever. And I really feel for people when they can't move around. It's just wow. So how do you if you're elderly and you're quite weak and you're recuperating and you're in bed, how do you get yourself stronger faster? How do you
Yeah.
make your whole mind and spirit feel great with very little effort? And that's what the sitting Qigong is all about. And it's just took me a long time to get around to doing it. And here it is. I think this will probably be the first of a series if people like it, because there's just hundreds and hundreds of moves that you can do, and there's only so much you can put in one training. Anyway, that will come out next week, I think it is, or any time now. So yeah, look out! It's going to be fun. It's for anyone. You don't just if you lost your use of your legs, and sitting on long haul flights, short haul flights, sitting in cabs and cars and buses and trains, watching TV, all of these things. If you do this stuff, it makes you feel amazing with very little effort, and you can do it so discreetly nobody even realizes you're doing it. And seriously, it's brilliant. Anyway, that's what it is, and thank you for asking.
Cool. As always, all of these trainings, news of what's coming up, vast back catalogue of videos and things you've got, things we've talked about today, the amped head and microdoses, they're all on the barefootdoctorworld.com website. Have a look at that when this live stream is finished a little bit later on. Get signed up for the Docs newsletter. It's always full of surprises, insights, wisdom, fun. I love getting your newsletters, and I always read them, and they're very valuable. So
Thank you. Very noisy moped going by.
All right. It occurred to me when you were speaking before to ask you if there's anybody watching this live stream who is thinking, God, I wish I could go to that next level, whether it's doing interviews as I'm doing, whether it's starting to write a book, whether it's doing a podcast, whether it's doing whatever it might be for them. What words of, I don't know, whether it's encouragement, insight, is any words of wisdom you could give anyone who's sitting on the sidelines of their life thinking, oh, why can't I just make that next step, whatever that next step is for them?
Yeah, I'd say two things. One is that the creating it as a big thing, this next step, although it serves some purpose and it makes it exciting and gives it a lot more value when you do that big thing, is actually not really a big thing. It will come down to very small things like pressing your fingers against plastic buttons on a keyboard, or using your voice talking to a microphone on a phone, or using your hand to write a few things down in notes, for example. In other words, the next step, in actual practical terms, usually means getting in touch with somebody or a few people, writing stuff, talking to people, and so on and so forth. And if you just focus on it being like that, and you therefore only make sure that you do one thing, at least one thing every day, no matter what, however tiny or big, that will further your progress along with the thing that you want to be doing. that will keep the magic rolling for you. So, for example, one day it might just be a simple thing as just writing a little note on a piece of paper to remember to do something. The next day, it might be phoning up somebody you're terrified of speaking to, who holds the keys in their hand, and so on and so forth. But each day, but even if it was that, all it really is phoning somebody. It's just speaking, using your voice, holding a phone. It's not really a big deal. And if you keep breaking it down to that level, kind of make it ordinary, that helps to quell the nerves. The other thing that, most importantly, though, is that if you, rather than think of you failing or succeeding, rather than you thinking of what people are going to think of you, whether you fail or succeed, and so on, which is really what makes it so scary, what you do is you focus entirely on what you're going to give them. You focus entirely on what you want to make them feel. So if you're doing a project, like say doing what you're doing here,
Yeah.
Presumably it's to make people feel beautiful. That's why you do it. And if you're doing that, rather than thinking, and then I'm going to be the great person doing the interviews on Facebook, blah, 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 you think instead, and I'm going to give people the love in my heart, the beauty in my soul, that I'm going to make them feel beautiful. That's why I'm doing it. I'm going to make people feel beautiful. And you focus on what you're going to make them feel. It takes all the fear out of it, and it gives you the sense of mission, which is really what it's all about. And remember that the whole mission, if there is one here, is really to share the beauty of your soul with everybody, because each of us has a unique quality of that beauty. And each of us has a unique quality of love in our heart. And that's what we're really here for, mission-wise, is just to share that far and wide as best we can, which is kind of why it's so important to focus on being kind, seeing everyone as kin. The world is our family. And if we can all start seeing that more and more, it will change the atmosphere. And I would just like to point out, no matter how much the news focuses us on how horrible people are and all the awful things that are going on, well, they have to, because it's the way they get their circulation, isn't it? I don't know about you, wherever I go, to whether I'm in Spain or America or England, wherever it is, people I encounter are lovely. At the worst, neutral, but generally lovely. I mean, the little interactions that I have, the little smiles, the little acknowledgements that are shared with strangers, and everywhere, wherever I go, people are lovely. And if just given half the chance, if you're kind and you're willing to give them the chance, they'll be kind. And I really feel that. I think there's very, very, very few people that will not respond to kindness. Yeah. So, and kindness doesn't mean looking like a kind person. It doesn't mean going around trying to be kind. It's not about that. It's just opening your heart, relaxing your chest, and remembering that everybody is family. You might not like them. You might think they're complete dickheads, but they're family. And therefore you love them. Your heart's open to them, and you are protective rather than deflective. Yeah.
Great words of wisdom there from you, Doc. And that's for anyone who's sitting watching this live stream, whether live on the replays, and you're wanting to get your workout to the next level. And trust me, the most painful thing in the world is to stay stuck and be procrastinating. And once you do those next little steps that the Doc has so beautifully explained, you feel free, you feel liberated, and you'll think, God, what was all that pain and procrastination about? So thank you for that, Doc. Sam just mentioned, if I may keep going for a second longer, about the super healing in Ramsbottom. We actually spoke about that right at the start in some length. So Sam, if you can pop the link to the super healing in the chat, that'd be most kind and helpful. Right, Doc, I would love you to take us through one of your amazing group guided visualizations, which are a real gift. And I don't know, unless you had any other ideas. I was thinking, obviously, the theme of this broadcast is kindness, more kindness in the world to elicit more sort of peace and all the rest of it. So are you happy doing something on that, please?
Yeah, it's what I would have suggested myself.
Yeah.
I know that at the end it all gets all exciting with the bye-bye. So before we do end, let me just take this opportunity, dear Daniel, to say what a lovely, beautiful, fabulous man you are. That's why I called you the fabulous Danny Green. And really thank you. Thank you for being such a kindly host, generous, giving me the space to talk. You are amazing. Thank you. I'm going to be sitting slightly weirdly because I've got to plug the phone in to charge it, because it just said I've only got 15% battery left.
No problem. Thank you for those beautiful words, and the feeling is 1,000% mutual. You've been blessing in my life and continue to be so. Thank you, sir.
And thank you. And also to everyone watching, thank you for your time, and may it will benefit you greatly. Talking of which, take a moment to let your whole self relax, by which I mean let all the fizz or drop, and let the breathing settle down, slow it down, and get a sense of evening out the in-breath with the out-breath. And while you're doing that, focus on the breath being smooth and silent. And you notice by and by, as a few breaths pass, that your whole energy field feels smoother, more like silk. And when the energy field, the tone of the field is smooth, the thoughts, the thinking tends to be more positive. And open your mind to all possibilities now. So you just momentarily remove any limits that you might have placed on what is possible for you and for the world, just for this moment. And let's have this an intention that this meditation will somehow produce a magical result, a healing result. It will have an effect on the collective that will actually show itself in real time by an easing of tensions in the world, various kind of projects to reverse or ameliorate the crisis climate coming through and getting finance and all of that sort of thing, like the miracles that we all need. Let that be our intention. And let all the muscles of your body soften. So all the ropes that are holding the flagpole up, the spine's like the flagpole, let the ropes slacken a little bit and allow your spine to unfurl itself and lengthen through the crown of the head, a bit like a snake being charmed out of its basket. And get the feeling that as your spine unfurls, there's a greater flow of energy moving up it. And let the shoulders drop. And as the shoulders drop the weight of the story that you carry around. Just drop your life story, drop the weight of it, and just be here, free and empty. And now differentiate between the front part of you and the back part of you. Now, the front part of you, which is everywhere forwards of the side seams on your shirt, your t-shirt, your dress, whatever, and everywhere forwards of your ears, is the arena of all human experience. The way we describe reality to ourselves, the story that we tell ourselves to explain reality, the narrative that we uphold to evaluate our position in the story and to evaluate whether we're in danger or not. All of this goes on in the front of the brain, and the feelings associated with it go on in the front of the body. The front of the brain, the lateral prefrontal lobes, is associated with language and with stories about what other people think of us. What will people think of me if I do this, if I do that? In other words, it's societally referenced. And the stories that we tell ourselves in the front of the brain are just that. They're stories. Sometimes they may bear resemblance to what's actually going on. Mostly they don't. Like, for example, you get a bank statement that says that you're really low on money and you panic and you immediately start projecting stories of becoming destitute and dying, starving on the street. I mean, yeah, that could happen. The chances are slim. And what will really probably happen is what's usually happened before at those times is you'll figure a way around it and things will just carry on and you won't even notice it a few weeks down the line, a few days down the line. However, in the process of telling yourself the fear story, a lot of energy will be used in feeling the commotion going on of emotions in your stomach. And that will then produce more of those kind of fear thoughts, which sets up a vicious circle. You spend your whole time in various degrees of cortisol addiction, or cortisol being the aspect of adrenaline that provides the fight, flight, or freeze reaction. And so we're living the whole time as if we're in danger, when in fact, close up in realistic terms, we're not. And that uses amazing amounts of energy and inclines us to rush forwards towards the next event that's going to make us feel better, the next event that's going to make us feel better. And we rush and then we die, wondering, what was I using all that time for? Why did I waste all that time rushing? The Taoist, on the other hand, and this is what I want you to do, they suggest that the place of power is in the back, everywhere rear of the side seams, everywhere rear of your ears. And that if you can learn to occupy your back rather than your front, if you can, in other words, drive the vehicle from the back by leaning right back in the seat like a racing driver, you get a much more panoramic view of the road ahead of you. And you can see the instrument cluster. And you get a chance to see your thought processes. In other words, this is the mechanics of mindfulness. This is actual mindfulness, learning to sit in the back of the body. So if you now imagine that your mind is like a Buddha that's been sitting in the Houses of Parliament in the front of your brain, enjoying the debate, but not getting anywhere with it. It's pretty much like the House of Parliament. And it stands up and moves to the back of the brain and sits down. It's like a cave here, and it sits down at the back of the cave, leans its back against the rear wall of the cave, which is the rear wall of your skull, sitting on a nice pile of comfortable cushions that somebody's thoughtfully provided. And it just is gazing through the middle of the forehead into infinity. And just do that for a moment. And you'll notice that the noise that's normally going on in the front of your brain has miraculously ceased. I mean, there's a residue of it. You can hear a faint residue as if you're walking past a theatre, but you're not hearing the noise anymore. This is meditation, by the way, and that's a very beautiful thing to achieve so quickly. So you're sitting looking from the back of your brain into infinity. There's no noise in the front. To support that, allow the fluids of the waters of your being, the fluids of your person, the weight of yourself drop into the back of you. So it's almost like tilt back a bit and let all the weight of your presence collect in the back of you. And all of a sudden, you find yourself feeling very grounded, very stable. Do you know that? And you can see the breathing is going on in the front. The emotions associated with the noise in the forebrain have calmed. It has become more of just an energetic movement. There's no story. There's no fear. There's no panic. Now, it's just an interesting movement of energy in the front. And you're in the back observing, bearing witness to it. Now, from here, get a feeling of your chest broadening out to open up the space in the middle where your heart is. Picture your heart as if it was a cluster of beautiful jewels, rubies and amethyst and rose quartz and amber, lovely, beautiful, warm, rosy colors that radiate, beautiful frequency of color, and a lovely smell, another worldly smell, a bit like frangipani or rose, something very gorgeous, emanating like a rose gold light, a profusion of beauty from your chest. For no real reason other than it feels nice. Allow it to radiate freely all around you. And knowing that the physical form is not a barrier to who we are, knowing that in fact we really are part of an endless continuum of consciousness and life. Be aware that on this planet alone, there are nearly 9 billion humans and who are all merely expressions of the same miraculous consciousness as you are. That all of us are expressions of the same one Tao, the same Buddha, the same God. And that's why we're all family, that we're all expressions of the same presence. And knowing that, allow the effusion of love and beauty radiating from your heart to spread to everybody without exception. Everybody, the murderers as well as the saints, the prostitutes as well as the nurses, the gangsters as well as the accountants, the accountants, and so on, until everybody everywhere, without they don't have to realize this, of course, is now being touched by the love that you're sending. But bear in mind, because there's a lot of us doing this together, presumably, there's a synergistic effect, and it's the combined love of everybody that you're radiating now. So each of us is somehow managing to conduct this really lovely big pool of love to everyone on the planet now, to all our brothers and sisters. And this love comes with an intention. The intention is for everyone on the planet to find their true nature, their true loving nature, and to flourish. for everybody to flourish. And in flourishing, we become helpful to each other. And in becoming helpful to each other, we find ways to collaborate. And in collaborating, we find ways to negotiate our way through this critical passage and come out smiling. Now picture the whole of humanity smiling all at once, everybody smiling with the joy of being, the joy of knowing that we're all connected. This is all just a game, and that somehow or other, everything's going to be okay. Just get that feeling. Everybody's smiling with that feeling. Everything is okay, and it's going to be okay. And then with that informing you for the rest of your day, everything's okay and it's going to be okay. Wiggle your ears and wiggle your nose, wriggle your fingers, wriggle your toes, and bring yourself back into the familiar waking state.
Beautiful as ever, Doc. That was so amazing. I've just been totally transcended somewhere else there with your guidance, your expert guidance. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Sam's popped the link into the comments box for the super healing in Ramsbottom on the 20th of September. Highly recommended. As I mentioned before, barefootdoctorworld.com is the Doc's beautiful, wonderful website, and I recommend you take a look at that. Much love to everyone. Until the next time, we'll see you all soon. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah, man. Bless you. Love you.
Love you, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.